Welcome to your class today. We are going to start seated for our breathing, and then we'll come into kneeling and then standing and then come back down to seated again. So come into a comfortable seat, whether you're sitting like me or whether you're sitting in a different way. When you're ready, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze and take a deep breath in through your nose. And release your breath with a sigh through your mouth. And one more like this, deep breath in. Long sigh out. And start to bring your attention inwards. Begin to pay attention to your breathing. You can start to slow your breathing down, deepening your inhalation, lengthening your exhalation. Give yourself this time at the beginning of your practice to feel your body settle, but also feel your mind settle. It might be busy with the stuff that's been in your day so far. Let yourself set that aside just for now. As you're slowing your breath, allow your abdomen to expand, ribcage to expand on your inhalation and contract on your exhalation. So now see if you can make your inhalation and your exhalation roughly the same length. You can count your inhalation and then make your exhalation the same length. Make sure everything is without strain and huge effort. There's still this feeling of comfortably breathing. And now, at the top of your inhalation, hold your breath, retain your breath for that same count. Exhale for the same count. The end of your exhalation, also pause for that same count, like you're traveling around a square with your breath. Inhale for the count, hold for the same count, exhale, same count, and pause, same count. You may feel or find that the more times you do this, that your count begins to naturally slow down. It doesn't need to, but it might naturally be starting to happen. Make this the last round that you do. And then return your breath to a comfortable rhythm of inhale and exhale. And just notice how you are more aware of your breath than you were before you started your practice. Before we come to our tabletop position, make a fist with your fingers, thumbs on the outside, and circle into your wrists. You can make the movement as fast or as slow as you want, and make sure you also circle in the other direction. Reach your arms out to the side, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, drop the knuckles down towards the ground. If you find yourself on the computer a lot during the day, it's a nice one to release a bit into the forearms, the wrist, the top of the hand. Stretch your fingers as wide as possible. This time the palms are facing forward. Put your thumb on the inside of your palm. Curl your fingers around your thumb. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, as if you're pouring something in a jug from each hand. And stretch the fingers again. Make like this wave action through your hands. That's a bend of the wrist, curl the fingers, bend the wrist back and unfurl the fingers. Give your hands a bit of a shake. And then we'll come into tabletop position. Today we're going to start by making some circles with our hips. Making the circle as big as you can so that you can ease into your wrists and shoulders, hips, even around the knees. You can make it as slow or as fast as you want, but maintain your awareness on your breathing. And circle also in the other direction. Come back into your tabletop position. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, send your hips back towards your heels. Walk your fingertips forward. Your head may come down to the ground, but it doesn't need to here. Inhale again, come up to tabletop position. And exhale again, send your hips back towards your heels. One more like this. Inhale to come up. And exhale, hips back. Now you can relax your arms down towards the ground and let your head come down towards the ground as well. This doesn't feel great for knees. Keep the hips a little higher here. On your next inhalation, back to tabletop position. This time, tuck your toes. And on your next exhalation, lift your hips up and back. You can start to pedal the feet on the ground, bending one knee and then bending the other knee, easing one heel down towards the ground and then the other. You can even move your hips from side to side. On your next inhale, bring your knees back down to the ground. Exhale, hips back to the heels. We're going to do this as a continuous movement with our breath, and we'll do it about 3 times altogether. On your next inhale, up to tabletop position. Exhale, tuck the toes, lifting the hips up to downward facing dog. Inhale, knees come back down to the ground. And exhale, hips to your heels. Inhale, come to tabletop position. Your exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, knees back down again. And exhale, hips back. Do this last one in the speed of your own breath, so you're not forcing to be in time with me. Lifting up, when you're ready, downward facing dog. In your own time, back to tabletop position. And then when you're ready, hips back. You can relax the arms down, relax the head towards the ground, and breathe. From here, back to tabletop position, and then lift your body up. I'm turning this way so you can see. Hands onto your waist. And this right leg opens to the side. Now, either keeping the knee bent, knee roughly above the heel, or you can straighten out your leg with the heel on the ground and the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. So if this feels a bit tight on the hamstrings or inside leg, have the bend of your knee. It kind of has a different kind of challenge if the knee is bent. On your inhalation, reach the hands up towards the corners of your room. As you exhale, right hand comes down towards the leg, left hand reaches up. If the knee is bent, you can rest your forearm on your leg. And as you breathe here, you can visualize the breath expanding the left side of your rib cage. On your inhalation, lift the arms back up again. And exhale, relax the arms. Now, with the legs straight, let the toes point forward, press into the outer edge of that right foot. And your left hand will come down to the ground. If you've got your support, you may want to take your hand onto your support or not. Reach your right hand up towards the ceiling. Now, if this is feeling a bit you feel a bit of constriction around the left hip, try taking the left hip bone slightly back. So you can experiment with that, pressing the hip bones forward or turning your pelvis ever so slightly towards the ground. Right hand can reach up towards the ceiling. And another option is to let your right arm dangle over your head. Reach your right hand back up towards the ceiling if you had it dangled over your head. Then on an inhale, lift your body back up. Exhale, relax the arms, and you can bring this right leg back in. We'll do the same thing on the left side. Either knee bent or legs straight, but the toes are pointing up. Inhale, hands reach to the corner. Exhale, it's a side bend to the left again. Left hand resting against your leg or forearm on your thigh. See if you can balloon out the right side of your rib cage as you breathe. And your inhalation, come back up again. Exhale, relax the arms. Now the left toes are going to flatten down to the ground, pointing forward, press into the outer edge of that left foot. Right hand comes down to the ground. Left hand reaches up to the ceiling. Just bring your awareness around your pelvis and notice what's going on there. If there's any tweakiness in your back or around the hip, see if you can make a little adjustment so that it does feel comfortable and you know you can stay there while you're breathing. Left hand either reaching towards the ceiling or dangling over your head. Reach that left hand back up towards the ceiling. On an inhalation, lift your body back up. And exhale, arms down, leg back in again. Turn back towards this way. As you inhale, tilt your pelvis, let the tummy dip down. You pull the chest slightly forward, lift your chin. And as you exhale, round your back. That's tucking the tailbone under, taking your chin towards your chest. Do one more like this with your own breath. Your inhale, arching your back. Your exhale, rounding your back. Come back to tabletop position, that sort of halfway point between with your neutral spine with all the natural curves there. Step your right foot forward between your hands. And then lift your body up. You can keep your palms together in the center of your chest. Before we do anything further, make sure that right foot, left shin are pressing down and you're squeezing the muscles in your glutes. So it's not a passive pose where everything is loose, but you're letting the muscles around the hips support you here. If you do feel a bit wobbly in this position, take the right foot a little further out to the side. Now, left hand with the fingers pointing down on the outside of your right thigh. Right hand reaches forward, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, open right hand to the side and towards the back or the corner of your room or your space where you're practicing. It's a spinal twist to the right. Now you've got your hand here, which means you can guide your torso further into this twist if you want, or ease back and use this to press leg against hand, hand against leg, which will help with your stability. You can choose to look straight as I am doing, or towards that hand that you've moved. On your exhalation, release from the twist. Hands come to your waist. And this right heel, slide it forward so you're straightening out your right leg. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. You don't need to go far, just the point where you feel the sensation. Could very well be that the fingers reach the ground, but don't reach to reach the ground. They naturally come there. You can use that for support. Otherwise, table, chair, or keep hands on the waist. Now, bend your right knee ever so slightly. Tighten the muscle in your hamstring, and then try to keep it tight as you straighten the right leg again. You're lengthening while strengthening. On your inhalation, lift back up again. Bring the foot slightly back. As you exhale, bend the knee. Now you can take your hips lower if you would like, but try not to have this feeling of just sinking down, but still let all of the muscles support you here. Then hands come back down to the ground, back into tabletop position. Circle the hips once in one direction slowly, and then circle them once in the other direction. And then we're going to step the left foot forward. Again, pressing foot and shin down, lift your body up. Now, as the right hand with the fingers facing down on the outside of your left thigh, left hand reaches forward, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, open the arm to the side and towards the corner or the back behind you. This is a spinal twist to the left. On your exhalation, come back to the front again. Hands on your waist, then slide your left heel forward. Straightening out your left leg, take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, forward fold. Slight bend in your left knee, tighten your hamstring, keep it tight, and then straighten your left knee again. Notice the difference, if there's any difference in how this posture feels when you do that. And your inhalation, come back up again. Your foot comes slightly back. As you exhale, you can come back into this lunging position. And hands back down to the ground, tabletop position. Hips sitting back towards your heels, arms down, head down, and relax. Back up to tabletop position. Again, tuck your toes. On an exhalation, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then lift your heels, bend your knees, either walk your hands back to your feet or your feet forward to your hands. End up with the knees bent, arms dangling down. Take your hands to your thighs on an inhalation, lift yourself up to standing. And then you can come to the front of your space. We'll come into our sun salutations. Hands alongside your body. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, hands coming down towards the ground. We have a couple of extra breaths here. Just easing into this position. Take your hands to your shins. Inhale for halfway lift. Lifting your shoulders roughly as far as the height of your hips. In your next exhalation, forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale to step your right foot back. Today we're going to keep the right knee lifted off the ground. So when your balance is there, lift your arms towards the ceiling. Could be that you keep your hands on your thigh, or it could be you keep your hands on the ground. Next exhalation, hands back down to the ground if you've lifted them, and step back into your plank. Your plank could be anything from both knees down, to one knee down, to no knees down. You can also adjust either having the hands under the shoulders or take the hands a little further forward, which sometimes can feel nicer in the shoulder. As you next exhale, take your knees down to the ground and lower your whole body flat to the ground. Slide your hands forward, elbows under shoulders. Inhale to lift the chest off the ground. If you notice your shoulders are up high or you're sinking down between the shoulder blades, see if you can lift out. On your exhalation, lower all the way down, hands behind the shoulders. Inhale up to tabletop position. Exhale, downward facing dog. Knees come back down to the ground again. Next, inhale, right foot forward, lift your body up. This time though, reach your fingers towards the back of the space where you're practicing. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, slightly lift your upper chest. Next exhale, hands down, left foot steps forward, forward fold. Inhale, come back up to standing. And exhale, hands down. Same again. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, hands come back down towards the ground. Little bend into your knees. Inhale to step left foot back. Arms, body lifts up. Exhale, hands come back down to the ground. Step back into your plank. Any option you choose. Can be different to mine or same. Whichever option you're going for, see if you can lift the front of your torso away from the ground. As you exhale, drop the knees to the ground and then lower yourself all the way down. This time, hands a little bit in front of your shoulders. Now you're using more the strength in the back of your body. On an inhale, peel your upper chest off the ground. So we're not lifting into a huge back bend. We're letting our hands support us to lift up. But actually, you could just take your arms off the ground. You feel that the back of the body is helping you with this. As you exhale, lower back down again, hands behind your shoulders. Inhale up to tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Knees come back down to the ground again. Inhale to step your left foot forward. Body lifts up. This time, arms forward in front of you. Take a deep breath in. Yeah, as you exhale, open your arms to the side. You could do it on an inhale, actually. Again, squeeze the shoulder blades slightly towards each other, but here it's more about the release at the sides of the chest. You can choose arms up higher or arms down lower. Sometimes it's nice to kind of feel which one adds the interesting sensation. Next exhalation, hands come down to the ground. Step your right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, come back up to standing. And exhale, arms down. Got one more sun salutation, but we'll start in a different way. This time the feet are together. Reach your hands down alongside your body. As you inhale, bend your knees, send the hips down and back, arms forward and up. Try to use the muscles around your hips, so the muscles in your glutes, thigh muscles squeezing together. Steady breath, as much attention to your exhalation as your inhale. Your next exhale, let the hands come down to the ground and keep your knees bent like this. Now from here, you can step, walk, or jump your feet back into plank. If you're jumping back, you can do it in 2 jumps as well as an option. 1, 2. But equally, stepping, walking, any way to get into this position. Remember, you have all of your plank options. Take your knees down to the ground. On an exhalation, lower yourself all the way down. Left hand, forearm across the top of your mat. And rest your forehead on your arm. Bend your right knee. Either reach towards your foot or hold your foot. You're bringing the heel towards the back of your hip. Especially if you're holding your foot, see if you can have the feeling of right knee reaching towards the end of the mat and you're pressing your right hip down into the ground. And release your right foot. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Right arm across the top of your mat. Bend your left foot, either holding the foot or you don't have to contort yourself to hold the foot. It could be you reach towards the foot. So this is a bit of an extension in the shoulder joint. And then the heel of your left foot is reaching towards the back of your hip. In fact, if you're not holding your foot, you're making your hamstring muscle also work a little harder. On your exhalation, let that left foot come back down again. Both hands behind the shoulders. Inhale up to tabletop position. Exhale, downward facing dog. From here, additional option for lifting your right foot either towards the wall behind you or up towards the ceiling. So just feel that the right heel is lifting up. Still pressing equally into both hands. And you'll feel the left heel probably wants to come a little lower to the ground. As you exhale, right foot comes down, take the weight into the right foot and then lift the left foot up. Oops. Really doesn't matter how high you lift. Have the feeling of the heel reaching back as well as up. And then the left foot comes back down as well. Lift both heels, bend the knees, either walk, step, or jump in any amount of jumps, the feet back to the top of the mat. So we're meeting back in forward fold. Take a deep bend into your knees. On your inhalation, sweep the arms forward and up, coming back into Utkatasana, this chair pose. And exhale, relax, all the way standing. For the next part, we're going to use the width of the mat and have your block or book or Tupperware box or tin or stool, have it at the right end of your practice space. Take your hands onto your waist. Either jump or step the feet out to the sides. They're wider than your hips, but they're not super wide. The right toes are going to point roughly to the right, left toes slightly turned in. And put your support on the outside of your right foot. Now with your hands on your waist, we're coming into Trikonasana, which is triangle pose, but I'm going to guide you in a way that can be helpful for the hip and for the lower back. Just like when we were kneeling and I suggested you could turn your pelvis slightly to give a bit more space for movement, it's the same idea here. So with your hands on your waist, feel where your hip bones are. Turn your pelvis towards the right corner ever so slightly. Take your right hand down to your support. Left hand, you can feel where your left hip bone is. Now you can choose if you want to lift that left hip bone back up towards the ceiling. You'll notice that that creates a stretch as you do that. So if this is super tight, you can drop your hip down a little. Now, if your left hip is low and therefore the chest is kind of reaching this way rather than this way, if you want to lift your arm up so that the arm isn't not reaching forward, you want it to reach up towards the ceiling, you can find a rotation in the middle part of your spine. So there's a spinal twist in this action as well. And left hand can reach up towards the ceiling. These are all just options. It could very well be that your hand is on your waist and the front of the chest is slightly pointing towards the ground. Could also be that you have a bend in your right knee. So many options. These postures are not set in stone. You're working with your body. Also, you're working with your body, how it feels today, which could be different to how it feels on other days. Take your left hand back onto your hip. Drop your left hip back down, bend your right knee, and then press right foot into the ground. Lift your body back up again. Turn these right toes to point forward, so all the toes are pointing in the same direction. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, forward fold. You can keep your hands on your waist, or they can slide down your legs, or you can take your hands to the ground. Hands come back to your waist again. On an inhalation, lift back up. Again, we're turning the right toes out once more. And if you would like to do so, I'm going to do this, is to take my left foot further away, because now we're coming into a lunge. And for me, my feet are too close together. So it just depends how you have set up your legs for this. We are coming into a similar position where we're going to use the same action in the hips. To rotate your pelvis ever so slightly towards your front right corner. This time, bend your right knee. Take your right hand to your support. And as before, left hand on your left hip, you can lift your left hip back up again. And then reach with a rotation in the spine, left hand up towards the ceiling. And as we did when we were kneeling, this arm can also reach overhead. So you're creating a long line down the left side of the body. Now, if you are really reaching, trying to find the support, take your body a little higher and rest your forearm on your thigh. One is not better than the other. You're just working out what works for your body today. Just trying to find comfort and steadiness in the posture. And comfort doesn't necessarily mean that it's super easy. There can still be challenge, but there is not huge turbulence in your mind, with the chat of, oh my goodness, I can't reach, oh, this really hurts. How can you find a way to be in the posture so that you can breathe, the mind can have a calm feeling to it, you can have a steady gaze. Okay, left hand back to the waist, drop your hip down slightly, and then inhale, lift your body back up again. Turn your right toes in, and actually let's collect our support to bring it to the other side. Left toes turn out. All these three postures on the other side. So I'm going to bring my right foot closer to my left foot for the first one. Hands on your hips. Turn the pelvis slightly towards your left corner, and then take your left hand down to your support. This could be a chair as well. Chairs work really well. The shelf, I could have even used the shelf here. Then right hand on your hip, lift your right hip up. Little rotation in the spine, right hand reaches up, if you want to. Take your right hand back to your hip. Drop that right hip slightly down, bend your left knee, lift your body back up. Then turn your left toes in. Now again, we're coming into a forward fold. You can either do as we did before with hands on the waist or hands to the ground, or you can interlace your fingers behind your back, squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other. Big breath in. So you exhale, forward fold. And the knuckles reach up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, come back up again. Exhale, relax. Turn the left toes back out. And then if you want to, take your right foot further away. You kind of feel how your body is set up for the next one, which is in a lunging position. Hands on the hips, turn the hips slightly towards the left corner. Big breath in, and then as you breathe out, bend the left knee. Hand either resting on your leg or down to your support. And then you can choose whether that right hip lifts up again, whether you take rotation into the kind of the back of the rib cage part of the spine. And then that right hand can reach up to the ceiling or up and overhead, a side angle posture. You're really choosing what feels better for shoulders, hips, knees, feet, torso, spine. That's why we try to rest our awareness on sensations in the body so we can hear what our body is saying to us and make the necessary adjustments. Hand comes back to that right hip. Drop the hips slightly down again. Inhale, come back up to standing. Exhale, relax. Turn those left toes in. And then bring your feet back together again. Come back to the top of your mat. Feet together. You can bring the palms in the center of your chest. Feel your weight coming into your left foot, and then lift your right knee up. Tightening around the muscles, around your hips, just to give you a bit of stability. It's okay if you lose your balance and the foot comes down. Maybe a little adjustment is required, and then lift the knee up again. Big breath in. And as you exhale, bend your left knee, step your right foot back. Your foot comes down to the ground. And for me, sometimes I have a tendency to step back in this weird leg crossing position. I do not know why. So sometimes I need to adjust the stance so that I change it from looking like this to like this. So if I think my hips are like this and I step back, there's still that distance. Then I have a bit of space and it doesn't feel all constricted in my spine. Maybe it's the same for you. You can see how it feels for you. See if you can squeeze a little more muscles around the sit bones and try to bring the lower belly up towards the rib cage down towards the lower belly. So there's this action happening here, and just observe the effect when you do that. Then straighten your left leg, take your hands under your waist. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, forward fold along the left leg. As with our other forward fold postures that we've done, you might want to take your fingers down to the ground or rest against your thigh or keep your hands on your waist. Now bend your left knee, tighten your hamstring, keep the hamstring tight, that muscle tight, and then straighten your left knee again. Just notice if that has a difference. Does that feel in any way different? It may or it may not. On your inhalation, come back up again. Exhale, bend the left knee. Inhale, lift your right knee back up. And exhale, right foot comes back down. We do the same thing on the other side. Weight in both feet. Take the weight into the right foot. Lift your left knee up. Big breath in, and then as you breathe out, bend the right knee. Step your left foot back. Make any adjustment. You never have to accept the first place that your feet land in a posture. Sometimes we just need to make a little adjustment. And again, we're going to try and bring lower belly and rib cage towards each other. So I don't know if you can see with me, I have quite a tendency to have an arched back in this position. And that little adjustment can help to take this kind of constriction in the lower part of the back away. It may be the same for you. You may be doing this in a different way. And straighten your right leg. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, forward fold over your right leg. You choose where you're putting your hands here. But then bend your right knee, tighten the muscle at the back of the upper part of your leg. Keep it tight, and then straighten your leg again. We did that same action when we were kneeling in this posture. Inhale, come all the way back up again. Exhale, bend your right knee. Inhale, lift the left leg back up. And exhale, foot down. Inhale, reach your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands back down towards the ground. You can bend your knees. And then walk your feet back until you can come into tabletop position. Inhale, tilt the pelvis, tummy down, look forward. Exhale, round your back. Inhale, come back to tabletop position. And then come and sit down on the ground. Bring the knees together, bring the feet together. Take your hands behind you. Open the knees, bring the soles of the feet towards each other. And you can have your heels close to your body or further away. That kind of depends how things are around the knees, around the thighs, hips. And equally, you can have your hands on the ground behind you, press down, that can help to sit up taller, or you can take your hands to your ankles, whichever one works better for you. On your inhalation, try to sit tall, broadening across the top of your chest. You can bring your chin towards your chest. And rather than thinking, I need to get my knees down, think about the knees reaching out towards the sides, diagonally outwards. And take your hands outside your knees. Bring your knees back together again. Again, you can rest your hands on the ground behind you. Straighten out your legs. Now, open the right leg to the side. Open the left leg. So I like to do it in that way because we have a tendency to try and force the legs wider and then we're in a position like this. But if we do this, it goes as far as it can comfortably go. Yes, I'm sure we could probably push it a little wider. Now, again, same thing, either hands behind. If you feel that especially you can feel where your sit bones are, if they're really tucked forward, lean back into your hands a bit. So your back is on a diagonal. And then you can see if you can tilt the pelvis slightly. Probably still feeling the stretch, the back of the legs. Or you can bring the hands directly behind you. Or if you're more flexible, you can take your hands forward and walk your hands forward. But try to keep that length in the spine. So you absolutely choose where you are, whether it's a forward fold or whether you're working on an upright body or whether you're leaning back and playing with the tilt of the pelvis. Whichever option you're going for, flex your ankles, have the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. See if you can press the backs of your legs into the ground. So there's a few options here. The legs don't need to be as wide as mine, or they could be wider. You're finding the shape in your body that works well for your body. And in fact, not every posture works for every body. So it could very well be that you're sitting with your feet flat and knees up towards the ceiling, just watching while this bit is going on. So wherever you are, we're going to bring the legs back together in the same way again. Bend both knees, feet a little wider, and in your own time, drop the knees from side to side. Last posture we'll do today before Shavasana will be spinal twist, lying on our backs. Come and lie down on your back with your knees bent. And stretch your arms out to the side already. Now move your hips ever so slightly towards the left. Then lift your feet up. Take a deep breath in. On an exhalation, drop both legs down to the right side. So by moving the hips a little to the left, we allow the spine to be in one straight line when the legs come down to the side. Otherwise it comes, the spine sort of has this little bend at the end. Now, just noticing how that left shoulder feels. If this feels really tight, you might want to take a left hand onto your waist or your hip. Noticing how it feels on the outsides of the left hip. Could be that you want a pillow between your knees or under both knees. And this is the last asana of our class. After this happens, we're going into Shavasana. So you might want to close your eyes already and start to bring the gaze back inwards again. On your inhalation, lift the legs back up to center. Your feet come down to the ground and you move the hips a little to the right this time. Lift your feet back up again. Take a breath in and then breathing out, the legs come down to the left side. Always that curiosity about how one side can feel different to the other side, or it can be sensation in a different place. Inhale, bring the legs back up again. Feet down to the ground. Usually I like to lift my hips up and just swing them a bit side to side so they find their center point again. And then you can straighten out your legs, find a comfortable place for your arms. Come into your comfortable position for Shavasana today. When your body feels settled, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, sigh the breath out. And in our lives where there is so much stuff we need to do, we are responsible for, things that we need to solve and fix, our to-do lists, our mental thinking. Give yourself this time to not have to do anything, to not have to actively think about something. The thoughts will be there, they will always pop into your head. Let them come, let them go, let your mind meander. Have the intention that as you next exhale, that your body releases any holding, any feelings of constriction in the body. Let yourself have this last couple of minutes of not having to do anything, just to be. Body settled. My mind is meandering and loose. Now slowly deepen your breath again. Feel as if your breath is reaching every part of your body. Your inhale is re-energizing your body, replenishing. And your exhale is releasing fatigue from the body. You can start to move your fingers and your toes. And in your own time, bend your knees, roll to your side, come and sit up again. We'll finish our practice together with a deep breath in. Long sigh out. Take a moment to notice how you feel right now. And find some kind words to say to yourself in your mind that acknowledges this time you set aside for your practice today. And from me to you, thank you so much. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day today.